Now back at the crib at some point, Charles gets news that the gospel tour he been waiting to go on been canceled. As soon as he hung up the phone, Lucille was on his ass, wasn't she? He didn't even get to fully hang up the phone before she was like, so, how you gonna get me that child support money, player? Charles like, what child? God damn it, and why? I'm right here. I'm still up in this piece. No goddamn child support. Then a second call comes in. Popo tell him they got Nicki down at the precinct on a stolen vehicle charge. Also got her on that PI. Told her the ass and tits was out, you know. Lucille phones Meech, who was up in his spot back in the A with Duffy, and a gang of ass, fresh about the local strip joint. She let Meech know that Nicki just got hemmed up, you know, that he might have just messed her whole future up. Then she hung up and got to taking Charles to task, didn't she? She like, ain't this about a bitch? You out here chasing music dreams? Trying to be the damn Pied Piper? Quit your plant job, ain't got no money, and now we gotta hit up damn T for the bail. To Charles's strong dislike. He ain't like that. Eventually, Charles like, that. And he takes one of his prized musical instruments down to the pawn shop. You know, hocked his baby. Got him that cold cash Nicki needed, that bail money. And they go down and get Nicki home. Tempers was flaring up in the Flenory household, wasn't they? Lucille got to taking Nicki to task. She like, the was you doing up in that car with your little nasty self? No, you ain't supposed to be giving that Kit Kat up just yet. And Nicki mouth, well, it got to slap me now level, you know. I was tensing up listening to Nicki ass. My goddamn good eye got to twitching. Like if my son ever came at me like that while still living up under my roof and back in school, it would have got ugly. It would have got Bubba Sparks ugly up in that bitch. You know how old school parents do. And Nicki told Lucille ass she was getting high and mighty. Woo, child. Now, I done heard an adult tell a child they was getting high and mighty. But I ain't never for God heard a child tell an adult they was getting high and mighty. As soon as Charles heard it, his ass hopped the hell up, didn't he? Lucille's nostrils was starting to flare a little bit, you know, like a ball. Lucille got her footing right, didn't she? Looked like she was moving a little bit closer to Nicki ass. You know, she planted that goddamn foot. Lucille just positioned that goddamn foot so she could plant it and leapfrog at Nicki ass when in range. You know, Lucille was not playing. She got on that hood. Lucille was looking like she was ready to ginger snap and shit. And Charles knew it. He put himself closer to in between the two of them, you know, and good thing he did. Because Nicki hit her good and below the belt shortly after. She like, I don't need your permission to drive or have sex, you know. Told Lucille her legs was cracked open like a 40 at that age. She like, shit, around this time, wasn't you on baby number 2? Lucille tried to crank that ass, didn't she? You know, planted that foot, got on that soldier boy. Tried to hit Nicki with that Superman. Now watch me, you. Now watch me, you. She tried to Superman Nicki ass. And if Charles hadn't been right there to hold Lucille back, well shit, they might have needed bail for Lucille ass. Nicki looked like she wanted all the smoke too, didn't she? When Lucille jumped, she ain't flinching nothing. She like, what? I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm like, who the Nicki been fighting? But I'm sorry, they'd have had to put 2 stakes on Nicki eyes. Both of them. Because if Lucille would have got to that ass, only thing that could have helped Nicki ass was some goddamn steaks. Young whippersnapper. Nicki ass was about to get mollywopped for real. Lucille was like, I'm about to kill your ass. And on time and on schedule, Lucille and Charles be finding those opportunities to take a shot at each other, don't they? Nicki went upstairs. He tell Lucille, you got all that grace for your church folk. How about extending that here to your own daughter? You know. Lucille ain't want to hear none of that shit. And I wouldn't either. She like to up out of here, Charles. And don't nobody want to hear your ass. And at some point, Nicki get a call from Meech, asking her who name she said gave her the car. Nicki knew what time it was. She like, Mike, motherfucker, get out of here. And at some point, Charles puts back on that GM uniform, goes back to work.